Thanks again for joining us for your weekly update from the city of New Hope, keeping residents and those that maybe have been past residents in touch with what's going on in the city. Joining us as always, the Mayor Kathi Hemken. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, I'm just fine, but I'm in the company of Reese, and
I
Reese is our
hear
new
that.
city manager. So I'm going to just slide my little computer. He's going to give you about 3 minutes of stuff and what he's doing and where he came from, and then we'll finish the interview.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mayor. And welcome to Reese. There he is sitting in front of the fine golf course there. Welcome, Reese. How has the first little bit of time been in the fine city of New Hope and in Minnesota?
Well, Dave, it has been absolutely amazing. And I would have to characterize it as drinking from the proverbial fire hose. This amazing team over here at New Hope has been nothing but welcoming. They've opened their minds and their arms and their workspaces to me in the first week and really given me some keen insight into the good work here at City Hall, all in great effort to keep the city of New Hope an amazing place to live.
Fantastic. I can imagine it has been a lot of learning. For those that don't know, again, give us a quick minute on your background. You have connections to Minnesota and tell us where again you recently came from.
Absolutely. I do have deep connections to Minnesota as I have grown up here. So I was born and raised in Minnesota and split time between two small communities in our great state, Clearbrook, Minnesota, and Ogilvie, Minnesota, where I graduated high school from, right up the road on Highway 47, almost to Mille Lacs Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud to have gone out into the world and forged a career which landed me at the city of Beaufort in South Carolina, where I most recently worked. So just a little bit of background. I left Minnesota in 1997 in order to join the United States Marine Corps, and had a successful career for 4 years and was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps just slightly before 9/11. Much like what happened when I came here to the city of New Hope, I got out of the Marine Corps on a Friday and went to work for the city of Beaufort at their fire department Monday morning. That led to a 20-plus year career with the city of Beaufort Fire Department, where I rose through the ranks and achieved the title of fire chief, which was some of the most crowning moments of my career. However, there was another calling for me, and city management was that. I had a wonderful mentor who recognized my knowledge, skills, and ability, coupled with some education, and thought it would be a good idea for me to try city management, which ultimately led me to land the career spot here at New Hope, which I could be so grateful for. I just couldn't be more grateful to be in New Hope. So that's where I'm coming from. I spent some time as the assistant city manager and the deputy city manager for the city of Beaufort, and most recently retired on a Friday and started work at New Hope on a Monday.
Nothing like
So
getting right at it, right? Tell
that's
me,
right.
what were one, two, three of the amenities or attractions of New Hope that really caught your eye through this whole interview process? What was it about New Hope that maybe stuck out to you and you still have in your mind?
Yes, that's a great question. And it's probably more than three, but I will whittle it down to three. The first thing was the people. I took some time before I actually sat down for the interview with New Hope and spent some time in the community. I had breakfast, I had lunch, I went out to dinner. I went to the different amenities that the city provided, its parks, its ice arena, and I even walked through the City Hall complex and sat in the band shell. And it just gave me the impression that New Hope cares. There was just beautiful places and nice people everywhere I stopped. The second really came through the process of getting to know New Hope and my background investigation and learning about the processes and procedures of the local government here. It's a great structure. It's got an amazing council, and I already mentioned it, but it has some of the finest staff members that I've come across anywhere in local government. And finally, it was the opportunity to do what every Minnesotan dreams about, live a good quality of life in an amazing state and enjoy everything that Minnesota has to offer. As you can kind of see, I knew what I was missing out on as I grew up here and I was ready to come back.
Mm-hmm. Well, welcome back once again. Great to spend a little time with you, and hopefully we get to do this again to keep introducing you to the people here of the city of New Hope. Have a great day, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Dave. I look forward to seeing you again.
You as well. All right, we'll get that computer slid back over to the mayor, who's smiling ear to ear, loving to have Reese next to her, right, Mayor?
One of the things he didn't mention is on one of his first weekends, he went up north and went walleye fishing and caught a 29-inch walleye, of which he told me he put back.
All right. Well, fantastic. He
I
wasn't
tried
going to
to-
brag, but you can brag about him, right, Mayor?
I can brag for, I tried to tell him about going to Byerly's to get fish, but he'd have none of that. He thought it was better to catch them himself. So
Likes the
anyway,
challenge.
yeah, but we're glad to have him here.
Yes, well, welcome once again to Reese, and we'll certainly try to have him on more opportunities here on CCX Media to introduce him to you and also to find out some of the great goals and initiatives going on in the city. Speaking of things going on in the city, let's get right into our update here and some of the things you might be aware of, or maybe some new things for you. First is the Rave Awards, Mayor. We've talked about this quite a bit. Again, great opportunity for people to nominate others or even themselves. Give us again the basis of this great program.
So this happens every year. They have until the 21st of July to nominate either themselves or their neighbors, or just if you drove by a property and you thought, oh, that looks really nice, just nominate somebody. We have judges that go out and look at the properties, and then they'll get started with a big rock or a plaque to put in their house. So that interior development, as well as the exterior things, all go into the Rave Award. So nominate somebody by the 21st of July.
All right, go to the city's website, newhopemn.gov. You can find out more about ways to get involved. Speaking of making the neighborhoods look nice, the curbside appeal program, understand another resident has taken advantage of this. Tell us more.
Well, this is our 15th applicant, and we're really excited about this program. People are taking advantage of it. The new one is getting a new front door and a storm door with windows, side windows. So we're really excited about that. I do want to warn people, if they're thinking of applying, run that application by community development first to make sure that it's covered and you're doing what's appropriate for the program.
Let's talk about a business update in the city. A longtime business is going to be changing a little bit. Tell us where it's located and what's happening there.
Well, Gill Brothers is a funeral parlor right on 42nd, on the north side of 42nd, and they are putting it up for sale. So we don't have any idea of when that's going to happen or who's going to move in. Just be aware that they are putting it up for sale. We always hate to lose a business, but maybe we'll get another one in there.
Let's hop around the city now with Scatter Site Housing, a great program the city has on an ongoing basis. We've got a number of properties to touch on this week. The first is 3611 Louisiana. We've been following this great progress. Where have we moved in the last week?
Well, the house is gone. It's torn down, and we got some bids from contractors to do some to build a new house. So 2 contractors have gotten in touch with us and given us plans, and now those plans will go to the Economic Development Authority, EDA, on the 26th of June, and the council will then pick 1 or 2 of, or just one of the contractors to build a new house there. Once that's done, I'm looking for that house to get built sometime this summer yet.
Very good. Let's move to the corner of 42nd and Boone. And 42nd there, you see on the corner some things happening in the ground. How's that progressing?
Well, lots of dirt has been moved. They've got the basement poured. I don't know where it's going from there. You know, it's one of those things. They've got to get the lumber and get the stuff, but it's coming along. So that house will get finished in its entirety before they start on the next one. So we'll have something that's done there, and then they'll start on the next one. So if you're interested, that's going to be coming up for sale, and you should be able to contact community development and see what the floor plan looks like.
So that has turned into a lot split. There's another lot in the city of New Hope that's going through that same process in a much earlier stage. That's 4965 Winnetka. Tell us about that bigger property and how it's going to be split.
Well, I just found out about that. Since 2020, July of 2020, community development has been in touch with the owners of that property. And they had said that they weren't ready to move at that time, but they did want to sell it to the city. So we closed on that on the 14th of June. And what will happen now is we'll get bids, of course, on demolition. But in the meantime, they shut off the water. They'll remove the water meter. And then they will go ahead and remove any trees that need to be removed. They'll shut off the electricity. I do know that West Metro plans to use that property for training, as well as the police department. When that's all done, then we'll get some bids for demolition. And the next thing that'll happen is they'll tear it down, and then we'll go out for bids again for contractors. They are going to split that, and we don't need a variance because that's a pretty big lot. So that's one of the original farmhouses in New Hope, and it's going to be gone.
All right, a little history there. And part of that process as well as some notifications out to neighbors. So if people are around that property, they should have just received some notification, correct?
Yep, 500 feet around the property they should. But if you live further than that and you didn't get something, you can always call the Community Development Department
Mhm.
and they'll just fill you in on what's happening and where we are in the process.
Very good. Two more stops, 5243 Oregon. The update on that property. This is starting to go through a process as well.
It is. I'm going to look and see. Oh, so we've come to an agreement on that and the purchase price of that. And so now what will happen is it'll go back to the Economic Development Authority. And on the 26th, we will look at the bids for that. And then we will tell them, yes, go ahead and do the signing. So we'll purchase that and then we'll go through this whole process on that house too. That house will be torn down.
All right, and final stop of our update of scattered site is 5802, and that is on Boone Avenue. This property we've been following, and now I understand some demolition bids coming in.
They are. We've got two contractors that have sent in bids, so they'll go through the Economic Development Authority. The council will pick one of the contractors, and as soon as that happens, the house will come down. That one we're not using for training in any way because it's in really bad shape. So that, oh, neighbors have been so patient on that, but just about there, you guys, we'll get it.
And final update from community development on business activity in the city. And one way the businesses get together is through the networking group. And I understand Mayor coming up at their next event, they're going to have some fun.
They are. So a few months ago, Crystal and New Hope combined their networking group just because Crystal was abandoning them. And, you know, those two cities are so intertwined, it made sense to invite them. So they're part of the group now and would seem to have a lot more people turning out at the meetings. So this is going to be a Pocket Square. It's going to be on July 19th at 3 o'clock. Pocket Square is where Mountain Mud used to be, right over 42nd. And basically it'll be inside or outside, wherever you want to be. And it's pretty much just a networking. You might get about a 3-minute update on what's happening in the city, but it's just a networking group. So bring your business cards or bring any information you want to pass out because there seems to be a lot of that going on at these meetings.
Yeah, great opportunity and events coming up August, September, October as well. So look to the city's website to find out more about those events. One final business note to pass along. The old GNC location is quickly turning into something new. Mayor, tell us more.
Well, this is some property that's right south of Lifetime Fitness. And there's a group of restaurant called Nautical Bowls. So I looked up the menu. Some of the things on the menu I did not know what they were, and I could not pronounce them. But I did look a little further. They do have meat and fish, and they have a lot of locally sourced produce on the menu, and they have a nice kids menu. So they're hoping to open probably latter part of August, and that's right off of 42nd and Winnetka.
Very good. All right, let's move to the police department. We've got a handful of items to update you here, and most involve community engagement, getting out and meeting with residents. And here's a neat way they did it just recently is with the summer program at the Spanish Immersion School. What happened there, Mayor?
Well, the police officers went there mostly to talk to the kids, answer questions, and then they got a tour of a police car. Not sure what that means exactly, but I'm sure the little guys thought that was just jolly fun. The other thing they're doing is they delivered Meals on Wheels like they do every week. We also had a kickoff to the Copsicles. I didn't mispronounce that. It's COP sickles, Copsicles. So the cops go to the parks. They just recently went to Lions Park, and basically they pass out popsicles to the kids, talk to the kids. They really believe, and I do too, that the more community development we can do with the police officers, the more the kids will feel comfortable with that and they won't be so afraid of them. So they're doing a lot of that. In the meantime, the police are doing what they always do and doing all their normal police work. But this community development initiative is really important for us.
One other part the police does on a regular basis is education. And I understand a recent event happened talking about prevention from fraud and scams. Where did that activity happen?
Well, one of our police officers, the community development officer, went to North Park Plaza and gave the residents just a little update on how to avoid scams and fraud that are going on a lot with seniors. So if you happen to have a building or live in a building and you want the police officer to come out, just call the police department and they'll schedule that and they'll come out and they'll talk to the residents about how to avoid fraud and some of these scams that are happening.
All right, let's hop to Public Works. We've got some updates for you here related to water mains, benches, and carrying away logs. All right, Mayor, take it away. What are those guys doing out there and gals?
Public Works does everything. All that
Yes.
stuff that doesn't really have a name, it's just Public Works does it. So they had a water main break, so of course they, dig down and fix that. And of course they don't make a big deal about it, but they just fix it. So bless their hearts for that. Well, they're also doing the spray patching for the potholes because there's still a few left out there.
Mhm.
They poured a couple pads for some benches in the parks, and all those ash trees that they cut down, they have been going around trying to pick up all the logs from those. That's mostly from like the parks and around the golf course and places like that. They're trying to get all that stuff out of there, and then they're chipping up all that. So these guys just do everything, and I really appreciate all they do. They don't get enough credit for what they do.
They are a busy group. Let's head over to a bigger project that is up and coming. And we've talked about this a few times and want to keep residents informed of the progress. That's 42nd Avenue improvements. Again, break that down for us, what it looks like and maybe what the timing is going to be.
42nd Avenue is a mess. Lots of potholes, and that's a Hennepin County road.
Right.
And so we, the city, can't fix that because the county does. And I don't know if they've been out trying to fix the potholes or not. But in the meantime, a staff has been meeting with, and I want to make sure I get all these people down right. They've been meeting with the asphalt company, the engineering staff, Hennepin County, and the utility companies. So the whole group is meeting. They hope to start their project weather dependent in the next week or two. So don't know exactly the extent of the project, whether they're just going to do a mill and overlay. I don't think the street's going to be closed down for weeks like they do when they replace a water main, but it's still going to be inconvenient. So
Yeah.
you might want to just try to avoid 42nd. Besides, you can't get over the bridge onto under
That's right.
169 anyway, so you might as well use 49th or 36th.
All right. Good advice. And we'll keep residents up to date on that progress there. Let's head to Park and Rec now and talk about some of the fun that's happening outside this summer. And look at this. We've got pictures of the mud. We've been promising this for a while that people were going to have fun in the mud, Mayor. And it looks like it happened and they're smiling.
And 120 people signed up for that.
Wow.
And there were a couple hundred people watching all this. So as you might imagine, you can't just put this on with one or two people. So we had lots of sponsors. We had lots of volunteers out there just doing all kinds of stuff to help make this a fun activity. And obviously from the pictures, the kids had just a jolly good time. I do have to tell you, though, they do hose down the kids before they put them in mom's nice clean SUV. So the kids get hosed down and cleaned up a little bit, and hopefully they dry before we ship them off to go home. But it's a big event and it gets bigger every year.
Yeah, great success out there once again. Let's talk a little bit about a renaming of some fields and a great honor here for someone who has passed away but meant so much to the city. Tell us about this renaming.
Well, in Northwood Park, there's some softball fields, and that's just one piece of the story. Art Field is a guy that worked for the city for many, many years. He was involved with the Lions, just really involved in the whole city. He loved those parks. And so we were going to dedicate, first of all, we made June 15th Art Field Day in New Hope. And then we were going to dedicate those ball fields. Well, did you call them Art Field or Arts Field? And so they finally decided to name it the softball complex. So now it is entitled Art Field Softball Complex.
Very nice.
And we dedicated to that with his family there and about 100 people just to see him. He touched a lot of lives in New Hope. We wanted to do something special for him.
Fantastic. All right. Other updates in Park and Rec, the Performance Center, known for the Off-Broadway Music Theater and also concerts in the park, but also a great place to watch a movie, Mayor. And I understand they were out recently watching one of the favorites.
Well, Top Gun Maverick was shown. And can you imagine all the noise and how wonderful that sounds with those big speakers?
Mm-hmm.
It starts at 9:15 at night. They're doing one a month. I don't know what the next one is. And we always get a sponsor. Or I do know what the next one is. It's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And so look in the In Motion. It'll tell you the date of that. And it's just fun. Bring your blanket, bring your chair, sit outside, listen to the birds, and watch a really fun movie. And again, those are sponsored by people in the community. businesses.
Yeah, great fun. And again, here's that in motion with the young mutters from a year ago on it, but a lot of information in here. We're going to refer back to this in just a minute, talking about some of the great park facilities within cities. So stick with us for that. Duck Duel softball. All right, people that have been around a while remember Duck days. Well, there's a Duck softball. When and where?
Well, this softball tournament has been going on for years before we had the carnival. And a few years ago, we had some problem with some kids, and it just didn't make sense. It wasn't safe for the police, and it wasn't safe for a lot of people to be out there. But we wanted to continue with the tournament, and that's pretty much handled by the Lions. This is not a city event. This is a Lions event. And so they changed the name a little bit to call it Duck Duel. And those tournaments will be the 14th to the 16th of July. And of course, they're always free to go watch. And if you haven't watched some of these softball tournaments at now the Art Field softball complex, you can go them and watch the games. They're really fun to watch.
Perfect reason to get out and enjoy. One other note you wanted to pass along in Park and Rec is about vandalism. Unfortunately, something happened recently. You wanted to just make a quick note on that.
I do. This is kind of sad. They put in this brand new fountain with a water fountain with a doggy dish below it. And that evening, somebody thought it would be really cute to run the water fountain, make a big muddy mess, take the mud, fill it up in the water fountain and the doggy bowl. Whenever that happens, it takes a lot of time for Public Works to go and clean that out and get it ready to be used again. And of course, time is money. And so that all costs a whole lot more money to do that. So I'm asking people, when you see something going on in the park that doesn't look quite right, you need to dial 911 and tell them. We can get a police officer out there. A lot of times these kids really don't understand how much damage they're doing. And we want that amenity for everybody. And please don't ruin it for everyone.
Another couple of quick notes about Park and Rec. They spend a lot of time putting on these fun programs, but also a lot of work to keep up the parks. And again, we talked about Emerald Ash Borer just a moment ago. How is that process moving along, and what is Park and Rec doing to continue that process?
They tell me there's 860 emerald ash trees in New Hope. So you'll see some on the boulevards that are dead. Those are part of the community development or Park and Rec to take those dead ones down. We took a lot of the dead trees down at the golf course. We have more in the parks to take down, but you can't take them all down the same day, and they're expensive. So we're allotting $500,000 this year to take these trees down and to replace them with other ones. We're getting some help from Hennepin County for some of the replacement trees, but it's a very expensive process. We also have the forester willing to help people who have an ash tree on private property, and he will come in and either evaluate it, whether or not it needs to come down, but the city doesn't take those down. The city only takes the ones on city-owned property. But if you have a dead emerald ash tree, you're probably going to have to take it down. And if you don't have anybody to contact, the forester might be able to help you with that.
Okay, very good. And part of that process as well is the stump grinding. And so that's something that is now in full gear as well, both at the beautiful golf course behind you and I would guess throughout the city.
Yep. And so we also got Public Works, bless their little hearts, out there helping with that process, taking away the chips, grinding the ones that are smaller and they can do. The bigger ones we have to have a contractor do.
Other construction work happening in the parks. I understand Hidden Valley Park and the Civic Center Park, some of those courts getting a little tender loving care.
Well, our tennis courts do need tender loving care. And when we can fix them, we do. And when we can't, we pretty much remove the top coating and then redo them, resurface them. So you'll see some trucks there doing what they can do. A lot of our tennis courts are being converted to pickleball courts, but not all of them, because we still have a lot of tennis players as well as pickleball players. So some are being converted. It's very, very expensive to put one in brand new. And so that's really not on our budget for a while.
Okay. All right. Let's hop around to 3 Park and Rec facilities that we always like to talk about the activities going on. The first is the golf course, and as much activity on the course as off the course. A lot going on in those great picnic areas.
So that back patio was rented twice on Saturday for graduation parties. This is a real big deal. Today, Stantec, which is an engineering firm, had a picnic back there for their workers. They bring their team out and they volunteer for a whole day, and then they cook lunch for our staff. So they were back there doing that. So that's a really busy place back there. And in the front end, there's the golfers, and they're still doing that. There's a lot of open tee times, so if you want to golf, I understand last Friday and Saturday they were booked solid on tee times. So if you're thinking about doing that, you need to get your name in there real quick to get a tee time. The other thing I found out today is the golf course will also re-grip your clubs. So if your grips are getting a little smooth and slipping out of your hands, it might not be your hands, it might be your grips. So they remove the old grip, they'll put new ones on, and they're a lot cheaper to do that than it is if you go to a sporting goods store to do that. So think about bringing your clubs to the course and get them fixed.
Yeah, great to know. All right, let's hop over to the ice arena. A lot of activity happening there, even though it's summer, and it begins with the summer session for the skating school.
Well, the South Rink is finally open. They've got it all poured. It looks just beautiful. Everything is painted. And the skating school started on Tuesday, I think. So that's been going on. There's a lot of skate camps there, like goalie camps and puck shooting camps. So lots of camps. You can go into your InMotion to see what all those camps are, that and when they started, what the cost of it for that. And then we have a eight group of men who play hockey there on a pretty regular basis. So again, they tell me this is a really busy time at the ice arena.
Yeah.
Who knew?
I wouldn't have guessed that. We know it's a busy time at the aquatic park, and I would guess they are the happiest bunch that it's 80, 90 degrees every day. Is that correct?
They are. It's so busy there.
Yeah.
You know, they do water walking in the mornings, so you don't have all the kids there. And they also do lap swimming for adults in that 50-meter pool, again, without all the kids there. The swimming lessons are going on. And on the 24th of June, they're doing their second tot time. And that's where you can bring your 0 to 5-year-olds there. And for $4, and a parent is free, the kids get to play in the water from 9:45 to 10:15, or it's 10:45, I'm sorry. And they just have a ball, and there's no big kids there to scare them.
Mhm.
So we had a lot of people come to the first one. I think there were 40 of them there. And so we're hoping that
Great.
the next one on the 24th of June will be a big success. So that is also in the morning. Go look in your InMotion. It'll give you all the details you need for that.
Speaking of the InMotion, let's bring it back here. We promoted a little earlier, lots of information inside here. But did you know there's also information here about some of the facilities that you might be able to rent? So, Mayor, tell us what page and what we'll find on that page.
Well, you know, we have a performance center that you can rent.
Okay.
We have a lot of picnic tables and pavilions that you can rent. You can even rent a park if you're going to have a gathering there. So go in there. It just talks about all of the stuff you can rent. You can rent the golf course patios. You can rent all kinds of things. So go in there. I believe that's on page 43.
All right. And if you go back just a couple pages, you're going to find an overview of a lot of the facilities in the park and rec throughout the city. And Mayor, I would guess there's some uncovered places that people just need to find about and go visit.
There is. So we have disc golf. It's a thing where you throw a frisbee and you get it in a net. That's at one of our parks. We also have a dog park and a skate park and lots of pickleball courts. So look in that InMotion. That's on page 40. Just a ton of stuff that you can do in the parks, and all of those things are free.
All right, final couple notes in our update this week with the mayor. We want to talk about a HR item, utility billing and special assessment clerk. How is that process moving along?
Well, she just recently took a job in, I believe, Andover or Dayton, out there somewhere, actually closer to where she lives. So we put that out there, and we got 13 applicants. So we're in the interviewing process now. We'll hire somebody for that. Just because we don't have a utility clerk doesn't mean you're not going to get a utility bill. So we have a lot of people in-house that are trying to fill that spot and doing stuff to help to get that out. So you will get a utility bill. It might be a little bit late, but you'll get one. And if there's a problem with it, you could always call City Hall and tell them you have a problem, and they'll connect you with the right person that can help you with that.
I'm sure they will. All right, final couple notes. Get your calendar out for some things that are coming up. We'll have a full list of close events here in just a second, but here's some events a little bit further out. One in early July and one in early August relating to the fire department and then public safety in general. Tell us about those dates, Mayor.
So July 6th, the West Metro Fire Department is having an open house. So you'll get to tour Station 3, and they usually have hot dogs and just demonstrations that go on. And that's a free event for the kids. So that's August 6th. You can go online and look for that. You'll get more information as we get a little closer on the times of that.
Mhm.
And the other thing that might be kind of fun is National Night Out. So that's the first Tuesday in August. That's August 1st this year. So if you're going to have a party, now's the time to register for that. So you do that just by calling City Hall, tell them you want to register for National Night Out. They'll get you on the list. And if you do that before a certain cutoff time, and I don't know what that is, you'll get a free picnic pack. So
Great.
there'll be plates and silverware and napkins and all kinds of other things in this picnic pack. So National Night Out is just fun. And when you register, they'll ask you, do you want someone to come and visit? So I'm telling people, if you want me to come and visit, you have to ask, because they have so many. I don't get to go to all of them. I go to as many as I can. Or you could just have one of the other council members there. You can also ask for the canine dog or the fire department to come. So there's all kinds of things you can ask for to come out to your party on National Night Out.
And am I correct that when the mayor comes, you get a very special escort as well? So you have some special people driving you around town?
Well, the police chief drives me, and
There
here's
we
the
go.
deal with the police chief. I'm not allowed to touch all the little buttons. So I can't run the siren, I can't run the lights, and I finally got him talked into it. And so he will run the siren for about 20 seconds. It scares the kids and wakes up all the dogs. So he will do that, and he'll flash the lights, and the kids get a big kick out of that.
You
And
bet.
he lets the kids get into the police car and see what's in there and see the stuff that's there. So it's just kind of fun when the two of us go around.
I
spend
can
the whole-
imagine.
We spend the whole night. We usually get to 10, 15, 20 parties.
Yeah, fun event, great event to meet your neighbors and also meet with some of the officials from the city. And a lot of information passed your way today. So again, go to the city's website. You see it at the bottom of the screen, newhopemn.gov, to find out more about many of the things we talked about and much more. And stick with us. Our calendar of events of what's coming up real soon here in the city that you might want to get involved in is coming right up. Mayor, thanks once again for your time, and thank Reese for us as well for joining us. And you guys have a great week.
Thanks, Dave. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye. Learn more about The Connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.